Hi guys, it's Beth. Welcome back to my channel. Today is the 10th of January, and so it is my first project share for the 10 on the 10th card collab. And this collaboration is hosted by Kim, who is Metal Scrappin' Chick here on YouTube. And basically each month you make 10 or so Christmas cards, and by the time you get to December, hopefully you have your, the number, at least the majority of, if not all of your Christmas cards ready to go to send out at the beginning of the month, and then you don't have to worry. That's one less thing you have to worry about during the month of December. I don't necessarily focus on making 10 cards. I tend to focus on either certain papers or embellishments for my stash, and then I tend to just make until those are used up. Or, if I'm working on a 12 by 12 pad project, a lot of times I will use that. So most of the time I end up making more than 10 cards. Every once in a while, it may come out to be less than 10, and there's been a very few times where it's been exactly 10. But most of the time it's well over 10. So in this case, I had 2 pieces of patterned paper that I pulled out of my stash, and they were like a vintage pattern. Actually, it was 4 pieces. There was 2 different patterns, 2 pieces of each pattern, so there were 4 pieces. And it was like this argyle. It's kind of like a muted green, and then tan, and then a muted red, and then it was this poinsettia pattern that also was kind of in the same colors. So I knew I wanted to use those together. And I struggled trying to find embellishments that I could use with it. None of them really match the colors well. So I did at least find some ink that I could use, and I decided to use craft cardstock for all of my card bases. And these are all A2 size cards, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I just went with craft because I didn't really want to use off-white, and I just felt like the paper would stand out a little bit better on the craft. So one thing in my stash that I did find, and it's a recent find actually, and probably one of the last places I would have expected to find these, but at our local Kroger store, they had some of their leftover Christmas stuff on clearance. And so I found this set of 12 tags for 25 cents, so couldn't pass it up. I don't necessarily love, the layouts of them, but I figured I could always at least harvest the images here are popped up on dimensional, so I figured I could always harvest those and use those as embellishments. And so that's actually what I did on this first round of cards. And I apologize for the glare on this one. I did use some gold. There was 2 of the tags that were on a little gold card, and these tags do open. They're like a little card. So these bells were on the gold backing, and so I popped off the bells and then trimmed down the backing of it to kind of fit just to be a rectangle, and I used that as the backdrop for my bells. I did find some green. It's not a true solid. It's got a little bit of a mottled pattern to it, almost like if you would have sponged something. That's kind of what the pattern looks like. And then I used the other part of this card, the back side of the card, to punch some gold circles out of. And then I just stamped my sentiment on craft, and it's just all is calm, all is bright, and it's in kind of a burgundy color of ink. And then I do have scraps of pattern paper on the inside of all my cards to help use it up. So I have 2 of those with the bells. Here's another one that was from the tag set. This time I just pulled it off the tag and backed it on some burgundy cardstock. Otherwise the layout is the same, and I had enough of that gold tag piece to cut 3 more of the 1/2-inch circles. The poinsettia, I backed that one on a piece of gold as well, and then I didn't have enough of the gold left to do the bigger circle punches, so I did just do 5 little ones and kind of scattered them around on the card front. Here's the other Noel. I ended up orienting this one a little bit lower than the rest of them, so I just put 3 circles up here this time instead of 2 and 1, and then I used the same green for my circles up here that I used for my strip down here. This one I didn't back, I just put the poinsettia directly on and used red circles. So that was my first round of cards, and I used half of the tags, all the ones that had colors that were fairly or close enough to the paper. So, and it's funny because even when I found that even when I'm trying not to conserve the paper, like you can see I use the pattern paper, this Argyle pattern paper, as the card mat on a bunch of these, and it went a really long way. Just, I don't know, between the 4 sheets I got way more cards than I would have thought. But anyway, so I used the Argyle as a card mat here again, and this time just I incorporated the poinsettia paper backed on red, same sentiment, and I did fussy cut out a couple of the poinsettias from the poinsettia pattern, and on this one, and I also did like a little sprig of the holly, and I just inked them both with some of this red just to kind of help them pop out from the pattern on the back. So this one's just the poinsettia, but the same layout. So then I didn't have enough of the Argyle to be a full card mat anymore, and so I took some scrap strips of the poinsettia paper and just added it to the side, and then between the 2 pieces it did make a full card mat. So here this time I again backed the poinsettia on that red cardstock, but I put it at an angle and then just added a little sentiment, stamp sentiments on kind of like in the bottom corner. This one was a big circle, so I did put it kind of more in the middle. But and then I was kind of stuck, so I pulled in some card sketches. This is CC sketch number 44, and I had a bunch of these strips left from trimming down my paper to fit a card mat. So I took some of that green cardstock, it's like a thinner cardstock though, and made it into card mats, and then used the strips at the top and bottom, and then again backed that poinsettia on red and rounded the corners to give me that image and the rectangle image in the center. And I was using a big sentiment, so rather than put it down in the corner, I just put them all in the center. And then the next sketch I used was Viva la Verve from May 2013. And this one, like I didn't even add a card mat, I just used a larger piece of the poinsettia and then used a circle punch to punch circles out of the green paper and added those at the bottom. And then I also added half a circle up here just to kind of pull the green through. And then my sentiments are like on a kind of a fancy label square. And then the last 2 were just using up some scraps that I had. So this is 2 pieces that were the same width, and I just kind of put them together to make a card mat, and then covered the seam with my red cardstock strip here and added my sentiment. And then this one again was 2 different pieces, you know, put together to make a card front, and then covered the seam with this little, I don't know what you want to call it, fancy edge punch that I had. Added my sentiment here, and then I had 1 fussy cut poinsettia left, so I just threw it on there as well. So I believe I got just 5, 8, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 cards this month for the 10 on the 10. So again, I didn't necessarily focus on making 10 cards, I just focused on using up the paper, wanted to get it out of my stash. So anyway, please be sure to check out, there is a list of collaborators down in the description box below. Please be sure to check them out and see their Christmas cards that they made. And if you would like to follow along on your own, you are more than welcome to, and work on getting that Christmas card stash built up for yourself so that you are ready come next December. But thank you guys so much for your time today, and I hope you're all having a crafty day.